Portuguese ruling house that could have led to a unified peninsula, but the deaths among the marriage partners ended that effort. Felipe II of Spain secured the Portuguese throne in 1580, and Spain and Portugal had the same Habsburg rulers until 1640. In that year, a revolt began that eventually restored Portuguese independence and enshrined resistance to Spain as a part of Portugal's national identity. In short, Spain has rarely been identical to Iberia, and for most of its long history, Spain itself was a theoretical concept or a term of convenience overlaid on a patchwork of kingdoms and regions with shifting boundaries. In the present day, leaders of regional political movements contest the notion of Spain as an indivisible entity, instead looking back to ancient and medieval antecedents for their modern self-definition. As part of this regional complexity, Iberia has always been multi-ethnic, multi-religious, and multicultural. One way to trace modern regionalism is to examine the peninsula's different languages, both historic and current. Most of the languages of the peninsula are so-called Romance languages derived from Latin, a legacy of the centuries-long Roman occupation and control of Hispania. The language spoken by the greatest number of present-day Iberians and Spanish speakers throughout the world is Castilian, the descendant of the language of medieval Castile. Most non-Spaniards call this language Spanish. It was exported to the Spanish Empire in the Americas and the Philippines, and is the language with the third highest number of speakers in the world today, following Chinese and English. The regime of Francisco Franco in the mid-20th century tried to make Spanish or Castilian the only language of Spain, but linguistic identity persevered and provided a strong component of regional struggles for increased recognition and autonomy during the regime. Among the other Romance languages in the peninsula, Portuguese is the official language of Portugal, and its close cousin Gallego, the language of Galicia, is seeing a revival in northwestern Spain, spoken and written on local radio and television stations, and in the publishing industry. The Catalan language is prominent in education and the media as the mother tongue of many residents of Catalonia. Catalan is intimately related to the medieval language of the south of France, the Languedoc or Occitan. In medieval times, Catalans took their language to Valencia and the Balearic Islands in the course of conquering those areas. Today, the languages in those regions are somewhat different from, but closely related to, Catalan. Aside from the Romance languages, other languages have also figured prominently in Spanish history. The most unusual is the Basque language, Euskera, one of Europe's oldest spoken languages, going back to prehistoric times. With the language in decline by the 19th century, Basque intellectuals revived its use and developed a written form, which it had formerly lacked. Since then, the use of Euskera has been associated with Basque nationalism and the quest for various degrees of autonomy from the Spanish government. The most extreme element of the nationalist movement, known as ETA, from the Basque phrase homeland and freedom, aims at total independence from Spain and has waged a campaign of terrorism and extortion since 1968. The Arabic language came to Iberia with the Islamic conquerors in the 8th century and remained the language of the political elite of Al-Andalus. In parts of Spain, Arabic remained current into the 17th century. It strongly influenced Castilian and the other Romance languages in the peninsula and eventually contributed variants of nouns from algebra to zenith to languages throughout Europe. Arabic is coming back into Spain with the immigration of Muslims from North Africa and elsewhere in the Islamic world, and with the contemporary conversion of some native Spaniards to Islam and their exposure to the language of the Quran. For centuries, Hebrew was the common language of the flourishing Jewish communities of medieval Spain. It influenced and was influenced by both Arabic and the Romance languages. Largely extirpated or driven underground by the expulsion of the Jews at the end of the 15th century, Hebrew has returned to Spain from the mid-20th century onward with the establishment of communities of Jews from Morocco and other parts of North Africa and the Middle East. The various historical languages of Iberia serve as a potent reminder of other facets of regional difference. Underlying everything